So my name's Sarah Yandell, and I'm a leadership coach. So I'm based in the Colchester area of Essex, but I actually work with business women all over the UK or even further afield, in fact. So I specifically work with female business owners who are looking to scale their business, probably from a six-figure to a seven-figure business, and do it in such a way where they're not having to work crazy hours, getting really stressed, and not being able to sleep at night. So I help them with making sure they get the right people in their team, getting the right people that they recruit in the first place, then to build a really strong aligned team, understand their vision, and then put in processes and automation in their business so that lots of those things that they're doing at the moment can be done automatically, to a point where the business starts to run itself, in fact, and they can just work on the strategic side of the business. And if they choose to sell the business in the end, then they can do that because it will run without them. It's quite varied, really. I mean, I suppose people kind of come a bit to me because of the experience I've got in different industries that I've been in, and also obviously it's great to support people in industries that I've worked in, but I can support any industry really, but my background was in hospitality, travel, and more recently outsourcing, which I still do as well. So those areas I can probably help a bit more because I've got that industry knowledge. But yeah, I mean, the people side is really, people are people at the end of the day. So that's really the side of it that I concentrate on, because I feel people is, it's a way you can differentiate your business, basically. If, to be really good in your business, if you've got the right people, and especially if you've built a really good high performing team, that's really hard to replicate. So getting that right, I think, is pretty much the most important thing if you want to build a business. So yes, as I said, I started in hospitality. I worked in the hotel industry and worked up sort of into the more on the sales side. So I think with hospitality, you end up being responsible for other people pretty quickly. That's the nature of the business. So I was managing staff from a young age. So yeah, building up teams. And then I had a really good career opportunity where I got to work for a international travel company, setting up a business unit from scratch. So it was a business within a business, but it was my responsibility. And it was probably the scariest but most exciting thing I've ever done. So I was still quite young, but I built a team of around 15 people. In 5 years, we got to around $10 million turnover just for that business unit. It was a much bigger company, but it was a great way to set up a business, but with the support of still being employed, if you know what I mean. So I was responsible for it completely, but I was still being paid a salary. So that was good. And then having done that, it was, oh, what do I do now? Because I'd kind of built up the team. They could do the job. They didn't really need me anymore, as I said about, teaching other people to get to that point, which is great. But then I kind of made myself redundant because they didn't need me anymore. So I thought, what should I do now? And fortunately, I'd met someone while I was there who was really keen on setting up a business. So we went into business together, launched a business in 2003. And that was very successful. Again, it was in travel. It was a tour operator. We had around 25 people in the end. We grew to 8 million turnover. And yeah, so that's where I learned a lot of my skills in terms of getting the right people in, and all the leadership skills. Made loads of mistakes. So I think I see that as a strength, though, because I think you learn so much from making mistakes, and it's a bit underrated, I think, making mistakes. So I learned from my mistakes. And yeah, it didn't all go smoothly, but yeah, it was successful. We had to, we eventually managed to get through the recession of 2008, which was our toughest challenge, but it was very hard after that, to be honest. So eventually sold the business, and then yeah, kind of COVID came along at that point. So yeah, we're still working in travel, but yeah, it came to a bit of a halt. So I had to sort of start thinking about what I should do next. So I started the outsourcing business, which is a franchise. And then more recently, I decided that I really wanted to make use of basically all the skills I'd learned over 30 plus years of my career. So that's what I'm doing now. And I really enjoy it. And it's just very fulfilling to be able to use make use of all those skills, which is great. One thing I think is probably I've learned the most is just resilience, because it's just, there's just loads and loads of things that don't go to plan, and you just have to pick yourself up and start again, or just continue, because you can't let it get to you. You just have to keep going, and that's what I've just kept doing. So well, for my leadership, for my coaching business, I would love it if someone could introduce me to 5 of my ideal clients. So 5 ambitious female business owners would be lovely. Thank you very much. I think for me, it's really important in 2 ways. Firstly, it's great to be able to connect with people and potentially meet new clients. And I think from my experience in networking, I've rarely met a client, but I have met people who've referred me to clients. And I mean, that's a really good thing. And I also like to build relationships with people so I can find out who they would like to be connected to. So I go out of my way to do that. And so it's a business thing, obviously, but also gets me out of the house. So I find working from home challenging. It's got its advantages, I must admit, and it's great working for myself, but it can be a lonely place. Working for yourself and working from home is a combination of things that can be tough, and to keep motivated can be difficult. So I like to have something in my diary to look forward to, a reason to get out of the house, a reason to talk to other like-minded people. I mean, obviously, particularly like ambitious women in Essex, because my target client is female. But my whole program is about building up women, and I just think there should be a lot more women in leadership roles. So that's what I'm really passionate about as well, aside from what I actually do in terms of my coaching, because I just think women are naturally really good leaders, and I think they have a lot of skills that men don't naturally have. But in the past, we as women have kind of had to behave like men to going to kind of get promoted at work, whereas I think we should be much more like ourselves and be appreciated for that. So getting that message out while I'm networking and building up a community of like-minded women is, I find that really motivating and enjoyable. Preparation is probably the first one. Can't really understate how important that is in doing your homework, doing your planning, looking at where the potential business can go, competitors, differentiation, what's different about your business. All of that kind of stuff is really, really important. Secondly, understanding your numbers. Again, really, really important to know what the numbers mean and what they're telling you about your business, and keep an eye on them all the time. So don't rely on an accountant to do that for you, because I'm not saying they're not good at what they do, but they understand the numbers, but they don't necessarily understand you and your business and your vision for your business. So they look at it in a different way to how you do as the business owner. And thirdly, it's all about getting the right people. So I would say if you're just starting to recruit, make sure you put a nice budget aside for getting the best possible person you can get. Don't sort of think, oh, they're not too expensive, I'll get them in, because it's just not going to be a cost effective in the long run. If you don't get the right person in first time, that can set you back quite a long way in your business. So just invest in really good people from the start, and they'll really then help you to get to where you want to be. Yes, I've got someone that's going to, hopefully be collaborating with me on my coaching program as well. And she's an HR consultant, and her name's Louise Loon. And I'm not sure if she's come to any of your meetings as yet, but I will suggest she does. But she's based in Dunmow, I think. So she is in the area. So she's an HR consultant. I think she wrote recently without the faff. That's what she said. So I think HR can be a bit dry, but she's really personable, and I definitely recommend her.